Okay, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us at this webinar workshop. So let's give a few more minutes for people to come in. This is a technical workshop specifically, and it follows the recent webinar we've held, which was the demonstration of the EO4EU platform capabilities. If you haven't seen that, just go to our events section and you can find the recording there. So today we have this technical workshop, which is an EO4EU platform training. And this will really provide participants with a step-by-step training on how to use the EO4EU platform. So today we're joined by my colleagues in EO4EU. We have Kakia Panagidi from the University of Athens, as well as Charalampos Andreou. So I see that we have quite a few attendees already present. So Kakia, I pass the floor to you.
Yes, hello to everyone. Going back to our previous, you can say, introduction at the mid-days of January, we would like to present the basic functionalities of the platform. Going back, I'm going to share my screen a little bit. Just a second. Okay. Okay, probably you can see my screen.
Yes.
What I would like to present is going back to our presentations in the previous introduction webinar, we would like to show the basic functionalities, how you are using the platform of EO4EU. We are having three, if you can say, basic use cases. The first one is to use the platform and to use the knowledge graph to download data sources as we have already presented in the previous presentation, to create a workflow with predefined functions and models, start the workflow and get the results. The second use case is going to be to upload in situ data. So we are going to upload our in situ data that you can find also in our platform. You're going to create, to use predefined functionalities and get, again, some results. And the third thing is that I can show you to upload your own, if you can say, code, your own Python code, how you define, how we are going to run together a specific functionality, and of course to write the Python script and the function and the requirements, and then run the specific workflow and get results. Any questions till now? We are going to be quite, if you can say, descriptive. I'm going to make step by step. I'm going to start from the registration of the platform. I believe you can say the platform. The platform is in the specific URL. I'm going to send it in the chat. I'm sorry. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. I'm going to send the URL of the platform here. Okay. So I'm going to start from step by step. I'm sorry, there's any question? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, you may need to change the chat settings to everyone.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. So I'm going to delete it. Okay. I'm not going to use a registered user. I'm going to make the registration from scratch. So when we're going to enter in the platform there.
Sorry, Kakia, there's a question. Should we take them now, or would you prefer to take them later?
Yes, of course. Let's,
okay.
When I have time.
So Manolis, you have been provided the permission to speak. You can unmute and feel free to ask your question. You do need to unmute from your side, though. Yeah. We can't hear you yet, Manolis, if you're speaking, but I see that you've unmuted. So maybe it's the microphone setting. You may need to switch maybe the microphones from your Zoom platform. Otherwise, feel free to also write in the chat in case you're not able to. Maybe for now, we can just continue for now, Katya, and then
Okay.
Manolis will let us know and see.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to select registration, show the register. I'm going to select my username. As long as I exist my username, I'm going to select something like this. I'm going to enter default password. I'm going to type again my password. I hope that these are going to be the same. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, for example. Okay. Okay. Something like that. My email, I'm going to put my email. Okay, my first name and my last name. Okay, so what I have done is that I have select a specific username, my password, of course, my email address, my first name, and my last name. Obviously, this is a test account, so I think it's going to be deleted afterwards. So no worries if you would like to use it also. I'm going to register. When the registration process is going to proceed, I need my authenticator. What is authenticator? Is a application in your mobile phone. Obviously, I'm having Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, free OTP. You can see here the possible the possible 3 applications that you can be downloaded in your smartphone. And in order to proceed, what we are going to do is to open, for example, I'm having Google Authenticator. Okay, I'm going to select, I don't know, it's here, the plus button. Okay, scan a QR code, and then I'm going to scan my QR code. Then the OTP is going to be presented. So I'm going to present, for example, my new OTP code is going to be generated at once. And my device name, for example, is desktop. And I'm pushing the submit button. Okay. I have to change it. I'm going to select something like 9 to. Okay. Okay, submit. Okay,
Meanwhile, Katya, we have a question.
yes.
Someone's asking if it's possible without a mobile phone. Like, is this platform accessible with that, or do we need a desktop?
Yeah, no, the mobile application is only about the OTP authentication. You are going to make it only once, just to verify that you're human. It's like the a two-step authentication, as we are doing, for example, from the desktop application, your bank account. It's not something that you are using it through your mobile phone. It's just for the authentication. It's a two-step authentication. Because we are talking about a platform, we are talking about a lot of resources, we are talking about a cluster of resources. So we would like to avoid, if you can say, the malicious users. So if a user would like to join our platform and he would like to register and to spend only it's not about 1 minute to make the authentication, to be quite easy in order to use our platform. Okay. I don't know if Babis wants to add or comment something like about that.
Basically, about the OTP, the authenticator, you can use multiple ways to create the OTP code by using one password or something like these services. But anyhow, you need to somehow have the authenticator in one of your devices. This could be your phone, or this could be your PC, your laptop, everything like that. Okay.
Yes, we want a little bit to avoid the malicious users that would like just to go enter in the platform once and then they won't forget it. They would like just to make, if you can say, to harm, to create a huge consumption of the resource. So we like just for the security issues. So
As Kakia said, sorry, Kakia, we have resources in there that are available for the users to process things. We need to log, we need to know that the user that is working on the specific workflows, work cases, are the one that they claim the resources. So it is better for us to have in Node two ways of authentication.
Okay. So what we are going, the next step is that we are going to verify our email. I have received already a verification email in my, for example, Gmail account. Okay, link to email verification, and then I'm logged in. So what you are going to do only for the first time, again, I am repeating, it's just a two-step authentication. Okay. I don't know if you have any questions. I can repeat the process. I think the process is quite step by step. The first thing, OTP authentic, is to register your details. The second step is to scan the QR code from your mobile application for the OTP, the two steps authentication. The third step is to verify your email.
Okay, Kakia, we have one hand raised from Carmen. Carmen, you have the permission to unmute yourself and ask your question if you have any. You do need to unmute if you'd like to speak, Carmen. So let us know. While I see. Okay, I suppose Carmen's not speaking anymore. Okay, we can proceed. Thank you.
Okay. So what we are going to see in this platform, we are going, what we are seeing as a user. We are having at the left some of, you can say, some settings of your user account. We are having the console, we are having the history, we are having the account, and probably the most, if you can say, useful for the users for the first time is the user guide. The user guide creates a specific, if I can say, details like a tutorial for each specific component that you are going to see. Also, for example, the authentication, we are describing the authentication and the account management. We're having what is the dashboard, how you can use the data sets. You can see here if we are going from the tutorials, we are having examples. And of course, at the end, we are having for each use cases how you can run a specific use case with specific steps of our platform. So the tutorial that you would like to follow is something like already embedded in our platform. We're having about several use cases. Use case 1 and use case 7 is mostly for the API that we are going to present in our next, if you can say, webinar, because there are two use cases that are quite useful for external API. However, we are having just like a mock-up for in situ data to run through our platform. Use case 2, use case 3, 4, 5, and 6 can be run directly through our platform, through our web interface. Also, if you need, in any case that we are having like use case 2, this use case will run with in situ data. We are having a Google Drive link in which you can download your specific zip of use cases. I'm going to show you how you can use, for example, in situ data, but you can also download it as a user through a specific link. So we are providing all the data sources that you need for the in situ, if you can say, use cases. Of course, you are free, of course, to upload your own in situ in a zip file and to run, of course, your own code if you would like to do it in our platform. Questions? I'm going to show you, we're not going to follow, of course, the tutorials. I'm going to show you the purpose of this webinar, the technical webinar, is this, to go through all the components and to demonstrate all the functionalities. So until now, do we have any question?
So far, I don't see any other new ones. I'm trying to
I
interact
see,
with
Rob, I see
Carmen.
still Carmen. That is,
Yeah, I've
but I
tried
don't
to
know if
send
she
the,
is able to speak.
or even chat. I also tried
Yes.
communicating by chat, but I
Okay.
haven't received a response. Anyway, Carmen, let us know if we can provide you the floor via chat. Otherwise, we'll have to move on. Okay, we can move on, I guess.
Okay.
Thanks.
And the first use case that I would like to present, as we discussed in our previous present in my slides, is to create a workflow with in situ data. Is use case 2. I'm going to follow from the tutorials. Use case 2A is about what? Is about a use case coming from the Naos company. The Naos is a maritime, Cypriot, I think, a maritime company that would like to present what? He would like to present to upload its sensors from the vessel, to run some rolling average computations on top of this CSV, then to run a fuel consumption machine learning algorithm, and of course, to have a data output of customer face and ARXR. Probably more is this customer face. ARXR is not useful as long as we are not providing, we are having a CSV as an input, and of course, as an output, we are going to have CSV and predictions. But it's just like for the needs of the tutorial. So I'm not going to add any ARXR in this use case. I'm going to add it in the next ones. ARXR, of course, as you understand, something like that you need also localized or georeference data in order to be uploaded on top of the world. I can see that I'm having a question and or something in the chat, probably.
No, it's fine. It was just Carmen acknowledging that you've answered her question, probably in your later explanations. Thank you.
Okay. Let's all proceed with how you're going to proceed in our platform in order to upload your own data. So I'm going to home. You are seeing here some of the components. What are these components? I'm sorry, I'm going to call the chat in another desktop. Okay, nice. What we are seeing here, the first thing is the data sets. So if you would like to search in our, if you can say data sources, a specific data source, you are really free to go through easy way search. What I'm meaning is, for example, I would like to see data sources for that they're having temperature, that they're describing temperature. What we are going to ask from the knowledge graph is to return all the data sources, the most, if you can say, what is the search results ranking algorithm? That's a good question, I think, coming from the knowledge graph, and for a novel core. I don't know if novel core is present right now.
Yes, but I can answer that.
Okay, please.
On behalf of Novel Core, knowledge graph searches words of the data sets that are in the graph of our platform, and based on that, we have the output ranking based on how much words of the ones that we have in the search text area, the text box, are in the are relations with that. You have that's with temperature in the title.
Yeah, but probably this temperature, if you can find it in the description, is not only going through the only from the title, but probably something in the description in the
whole meta information basically that
exactly
we have
that
of
we
the
have
data
registered.
The knowledge graph searches between all these data, and of course the word temperature is pretty simple. It's pretty open, let's say, search for the knowledge graph, and we will have too much output, too much yes from this request, from this query, but as we are getting more complex queries to the knowledge graph, we'll get specific outputs, specific responses with a better ranking, let's say. For example, error 5.
Yeah, it means that error 5 that has the temperature in the title, why is not above from the error 5 land Austria?
Well, there's nothing, no special reason to make error 5 above or in the bottom of that. So
probably it's also I think from the
random.
hits from the users that they have used for temperature that they were searching and they clicked the specific data source, or we have used this in our use cases. Probably it's going not only with the description, but with the usability, the API calls that we have made more often. There are multiple data and characteristics that we are taking in place through the knowledge graph. The updatability, I think, I don't know if it's someone from the Aris, but I think it's more than the description of the data sources. This one thing. So my first question. Okay. What is the first question? I'm sorry.
What is the search results ranking algorithm?
Yeah, from what I know, I'm not the novel core, if I can say, developer, but from what I can say is that there are multiple from the knowledge graph attributes that we are having for a specific use case when we are searching. For sure is the temperature, if we can say we can crawl in the data sources and taking some keywords and some text, is about how we have registered these data sources from the ADAM and these things, the reusability from the users, the API calls, how often someone is using this data source. So it's something that you are often call this platform. I don't know if there are also other attributes. I know this because I have used it. I'm a user of this platform, of course. Okay. As we have already discussed through going back to the presentation, I don't know if I can go back. Okay. What we would like to check, for example, is the following, that we are trying to mask all the differences between the data sources. And this was not, as we discussed also in the previous introduction, so easily, because a lot of data sources having quite different APIs, they have different requests, they have different metadata, so we have to create general APIs updated based on the specific updates or differences in order to keep updated in the knowledge graph. Of course, to be covered through a common, if you can say, API, and of course under a common metadata description of these differences. As you can see here, all, for example, the resources, they have a title, they have a description. You know which specific data source you are going to hit, like the EDAM, like the UMECHAT, like the Sentinel Hub, and these things. We are quite usual often in order to specify the data and the APIs, of course, the geolocation of the data that you want. For example, we would like to use a specific bounded box, or you want, for example, to use or to retrieve data from Spain, for example. And another, if you can say, specific attribute that we need for all, at least the use cases, is to pick a date range. So these two, if you can say, characteristics are quite important for all the calls of the APIs in order to retrieve data. What is the first one is the location of a specific node to return an API for all the world, and of course to select a specific date range. Some of the use cases, you are probably expert users and EO satellite users, you know that some results exist or not exist for a specific date range or a specific location. So probably we have give you some insight in the examples in order to return that we have tested specific areas for specific date range and data exists. That's why having insights, because some of the data range, probably we don't receive data from the original data source, not because of our, if you can say, dysfunction of our APIs. Okay. We are going to see how we are going to see the dataset. So this is the dataset. We are having the workflow creator. Here, when we are selecting a specific dataset and we are having products, okay, then what we are going to see, we're going to see some data sources that we have already searched and selected, and we were going to see why it's important for that. I'm going to delete everything that I have in my account. Okay. So this is what we have, these are the products from the results of the datasets we have done it before. Because, for example, you are a user, you have searched for a specific area and specific date range sources, and you need to have different pipelines, actions about your specific algorithms, and you want to rerun. So in order not to go back and search again and again your data sources, we're having a history of your dataset products that you have already selected. What we had in this time, the ID, the name, the dates that you created, because you can have different products from different, if you can say, dates that you have created, and some actions. The next component is the workflow editor. Here we are going to create workflows. Which workflows? We're going to create actions of pipelines, pipeline actions, in order to proceed in our cluster. We're having data visualization. Data visualization is more like graphs, is more about CSVs, is more like we want some X, Y figures. So it's about the raw data. If you would like to use data visualization for diffs and to append like Quantum GIS or ArcGIS layers on top of map, we are having map visualization. This is another component. File Explorer is going to select, when you're having a workflow, you are going to see in your what is downloaded, what is uploaded, what is the output of your specific use case. And at the end, we're having XRVR. Everything is related with your specific workflow that you are going to create. Of course, you understand. Okay, so let's make with the simplest way. I'm a user. I want to upload some in situ data, for example, and download it. That's a quite simple use case. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to download, for example, use case CSV2. It's around 10 megabytes, okay? What I'm going to do, I'm going to make, for example, in situ, I'm going to give a name to my workflow in order to rename and have some added value in our pipelines. In situ, for example, download, sorry, Greek. Download, okay. I'm going to create a workflow. Okay, here is the notification area. The notification area is when you are having specific steps in order to give you back any specific feedback of what we are doing in your platform. So I just put a name, I just put the create workflow. What I have done right now, something that is an empty workflow. What means an empty workflow, please? Here is probably an area that I can select specific set of pipelines. What I can do, I'm having probably a data source, what is an input to my workflow. Okay, I want data that can be selected. I want a data output, okay? And of course, I need something like to use the GUI in order to demonstrate the sources. Do I need any other actions? Probably not. I am a user and I would like just to check the usability of the platform. So what I can do, it's just I'm selecting input, output, customer face, and of course, I am going to upload what I have selected right now. I'm going to upload my own zip. I'm just trying a little bit to, how to say, to familiarize you with all the buttons and all the functionalities that we are having in our platform. Okay, so what I'm having a data source. I can upload my own data. So where I'm going to upload my own data, inside the workflow, inside the data source. So the data source, you can imagine, is like a bucket of input files. Either you have selected from the dashboard, either that you are uploading from your desktop, from your account. We can have a data output, of course, several pipelines of actions, but we are going to go there at some point. And of course, the customer face is when we are having the data visualization, when we would like to use this visualization and not just to download some data. Okay, what is the next thing is I'm going to save my workflow. I can go back pressing the EO4EU here icon, and I'm going to go back to my workflows. I can view again my workflows. It is successfully saved, of course. I can zoom in, I can zoom out. Here is the zoom in and zoom out. What I can see here in my, I can push save, and of course I can also select the publish. When I'm saying publish button, wait, what happened? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes. Probably it was something like zoom in and zoom out. Okay, sorry. I just made a refresh. When I'm publishing the publish button, what I'm going to say, in other words, is publish my workflow in the cluster, in the Kubernetes and all these things. All the dynamic, if you can say, infrastructure is going to be compiled underneath. And what I can see in my left part, I can see the basic, if you can say, functionalities, data source. I need always a data source, a data input in my workflow. A data output, of course, I need to have a data output in order to be stored in an S3 bucket. The open fuzz, where I can upload my code. ARXR, that is the functionality of augmented reality visualization, and the customer face. What I can see in the Fusion has multiple, if you can say, algorithms based on the use cases or not. Yes, this is, I think it's an update that we are going to have probably to add in our next version. Probably we're going to have here when I'm going to add a specific functionality that I'm having 3 dots and see all the description. The version is in the dev environment, but for stability reasons, we haven't uploaded right now. For the marketplace, I think you can find it in the user guide. We are going to embed it in all the description of its functionality. You are right. As you can see here, we are having titles that are quite, if you can say, descriptive. However, for the specific use cases, you can find it in the deliverables and in the user guide. As Mr. Mendrand says, the next version, I believe, till the 14th of March, we are going to embed all the descriptions of the functionalities inside all the functionalities. We are going to have 3 dots and to have all the description of the input, the output, and the description of the function. The next thing is the ML. All the algorithms that we are going to run through the ML that are use case oriented or not. As you can see, we're having compression, we're having decompression, we're having SSL, and we're having all the models requested from the use cases. Of course, we are having also more, but we are going to see it in a while. At the left part, probably you can see some notifications about what is the status of your workflow. Right now, we are having 2 main, if you can say, steps. The pre-processor and the post-processor is the one that downloads the data. And what I can find in the File Explorer, for example, in my C to download, I can see the source. I'm going to have any processing. So probably I'm going to see my input file. What I can do in my input file, I can download the files, open the selection, and select all files. I can push, for example, when you're having all the data, right now it's a dummy one, but I can, of course, select a source and download files in my folder. And of course, I can have data visualization. Why I'm having data visualization? Because right now, I'm having a CSV. I'm not having the map visualization. It's just a CSV. I'm adding a chart, EO4EU, CSV. It's quite big in order to upload it all in once. It has a chart type. You can select which chart type do you want. For example, let's say the line, and having the DT with the wind direction. And I can create a chart on demand. Why is that? It reads the CSV, it reads the, if you're going to see here, I'm sorry, it opens in a different folder. Wait. Here, if you can see the CSV, probably we can demonstrate from the 60 megabytes of data. Also, my computer needs some time. Let's open it through numbers. I'm sorry. It needs some time, I'm sorry. Because it's a big CSV. What I would like to demonstrate is that our data visualization reads, if any, all the first row of a CSV. It creates, if you can say, components in order to visualize. I just visualize, for example, the DT with the wave, the DT with the wind prediction. You can make any combination that you want. And of course, you can add multiple, if I can say, charts. You can add another chart and another chart. You can delete the chart. You can edit the chart. You can select something else. You can download the chart, and of course, you can delete it. So we are providing to the user also a quite, I think, easily, of course, easy GUI demonstration of the data that you would like to visualize. Okay. But what is what's quite useful for not only to upload data, of course, and download, or to select from the knowledge graph and download data. I'm going to show you also this. Let's run a specific workflow. What is a specific workflow? I'm going to do when we have finalized the data, I can stop. And I can delete, of course, my workflow. So what I would like to do is to run a new use case 2 with in situ data as we requested, according to the tutorial that we're having in order to predict what the fuel consumption of the vessel based on the sensor values. I'm going to create, for example, use case 2A, just a name in order for my point of view to be helpful. All the cluster has its own dynamic name and dynamic environment creation. This is something like quite friendly to the user. So I create a workflow. It's an empty workflow as we have discussed. Why it is an empty? Because I haven't selected something coming from the knowledge graph. The steps are quite the same as we did it before. What we would like, of course, to have always, we need to define the data input, the data output of our sequence of actions. I'm going to use the rolling average computation. Why is that? Because the NAOS has requested to add rolling average computation on top of its CSV. And of course, I want to run the fuel consumption algorithm that I'm having already implemented. Pablo, of course, can give some insights about the fuel consumption ML training, the rolling average computation of specific transformations on top of CSV. Okay, and I would like also to use Elasticsearch and to have the demonstration as data output of my data, okay, from my algorithm. What I have forgot to do is to import my data sources. And as I said, I'm going to choose a file, the downloaded as before use case to CSV, and I'm going to upload it. Pablo, do you want to say something about the mail of the fuel consumption?
So the ML that you are using for this use case is an LSTM. So it was trained before with an LSTM that takes the time steps. The variables that you have in the CSV. For training, we have an additional column that is the value of the fuel consumption that you don't have in this CSV here, but that we had for training. And with that, we are able to predict the fuel consumptions that is assumed or predicted by the model. So this is a good example of how you could use machine learning for what I will call tabular data, where you have, so in this example, it was food consumption, but you can imagine it for whatever other kind of data that you have in a CSV, where you have some columns and that you want to predict something. Is it temporal or not?
Okay.
And of course, the user doesn't need to really know what is happening behind the scene. By itself, the machine learning algorithm will copy by pieces of data, do the prediction and all this. So for example, for this single fuel consumption, there may be thousands of calls to the machine learning models, but the user will not see it. He will just take the CSV, take all the lines, and predict it for every line, give an output that is the same. I will kind of say a bit in advance for what will happen after. If you have images, he will do the same. He will do the prediction for every pixels and then give a prediction for each pixels, without the user needing to really think about how the model is cut, what it does, and everything behind it.
Okay. So, thank you, Pablo. What I have already done is to save my sequence of diagrams, and of course, I'm going to select the publish button. I'm seeing that this is compiled, and the next thing is going to in situ download completed. Okay, yes, it's the previous one. Okay, so we are having use case 2A compiled, and of course, I can see publishing this specific use case, and probably is going to be published and start all the process. What I would like to mention is we need a little bit to be a little bit patient. Why? Because we're talking about a dynamic infrastructure. A Kubernetes cluster is going to be created for each namespace of your account. And in order to be dynamic, in order to check your requirements, your input source, to download data. So that's why we need some time just to initiate everything, but everything is dynamic. Everything is going to be secure to download your data if the data exists, and of course to process this data. So the use case 2 is published. This is mean in our case that everything has started. And in situ download, of course, is stop. And if you want, you can delete your in situ workflow. When I delete an in situ workflow, it means that I'm not going to see the output or the files in my file explorer in order to download it or overview it. You can stop when it's finalized your use case. If you're going to delete, you're going to delete everything from our, if you can say, infrastructure. If you just stop something, you can at least you can go back to the outputs of your functionalities, of your action in order to check it. So I'm going to delete it. It's not something that is useful. So we are waiting about use case 2A in order to proceed. I believe that this is created. Probably I'm going to see in a while the notifications, and we are having now the in situ download, and we are going to see the notifications in which steps we are. Okay. In the meanwhile, I would like also to go in order to get some time for the data sets and going, okay, the first question is how I create an empty workflow, how I can upload my own data. I think that there is no question about that. But you have promised EO4EU that you are going to provide a common interface in order to select multiple data sources and download it in my account. How we are going to do that? And make a refresh also here. Okay, so what I would like to do for my next, if I can say, use case, I'm going to use Adam data source. I know it in advance. You cannot know it, of course. And I would like to search the outputs of the Sentinel. Okay, I'm having two specific, if I can say, a lot of Sentinels data sources. What I would like to do is to create and to run the soil erosion, the use case 5, in order to check the C factor of a specific soil in a specific area of interest. For these reasons, I would like to match the bands from which bands from the Sentinel-2 data source. Sentinel-2 gives in a different products band 2, band 3, and band 4. This is also, for example, a requirement from the NDVI. In order to compute the NDVI, you have to get these 3 bands. However, the Sentinel-2 from Adams retains separate these bands. How I can make to merge them? So what we're going to do is to select for a specific area in a specific data range the outputs, the products of the Sentinel-2 data source, merge them, and then go to the machine learning, do something from my side, do several things. So I'm going to select, for example, band 2. Okay. Of course, I'm going to go in the advanced filter. And why is that? Because I would like to get data from a specific area of interest and a specific data range. As I said before, sometimes the data sources are not returning always, they don't have always data products from a specific area, specific data range. That's why we are giving you some insight, but probably the EO experts are no better than me. So we are going to select Sicily. I'm having this bounded box, and I would like to run something like from the 4th January of 2004 till the 8th January of 2024. How I can select a day rate, either by selecting the first and the start, the first and the end date range, or I can write it and press enter in my search window. What I'm going to select is filter now. When I'm going to do the filter now, this is something like, as I said, transparent to the user. We are going to make request to our initial data source in a transparent way and get the products, if any, products for our request. As you can see here, I'm having 24 different JP2 images. I select true. I'm going to select it as a zip, and I generate a script. This creates a Python script and the meta info that is for internal use. Okay, and I pushing save workflow. I'm sorry that if I was quite quick. I'm going to show it also in the another. So what I'm having in my workflow creator, I'm having a specific product ID with a day created. I know that is Sentinel-2 band 2. I can select it or I can delete it. Okay, let's go back to my initial search and go back to L2A band 3. Okay. And the question is, and was also a user requirement from your side, that, okay, probably I would like to repeat the same bounded box that I selected in my previous data source. Okay, that's why we are having here this in the geometry, close to the delete all, a selection of a geometry that you have already used in your products. So if I'm going to select this attribute, the bounded box is going to be repeated on top of my bump. So this was also a requirement that if I'm having multiple selections, multiple data sources, and I want it for a specific area, and the bounded box will be exactly the same, how I am going to repeat it in the many data sources? So we implemented this requirement here in order to select and to repeat your selection. The date ranges are going to be the same from the 4th to the 8th. Filter now. Okay, I'm going to select all. Just an insight, for this algorithm, we are going to implement a merge band. What means that? Our fusion algorithm is going to take all the tiles from the different bands and try to merge it in a specific one TIFF with the 3 tiers merged on top of that. That's why it is a prerequisite to have the exact products from the one band to the other, as you understand. If you would like to make a spatiotemporal merging of tiles, you have to select at least the same tiles in the time and space. Okay, generate script, save workflow product. So I'm having band 2, band 3, and I'm going to repeat the same through the band 4. Here it is. I'm going to repeat my selection in geometry. Here it is the geometry, if you are seeing, okay? And the only thing is to select from the same date range. Filter now. Okay, just to make also to finalize the selection, and I'm going to okay. Lucas is asking if I'm having a way to adjust the bounded box coordinates by number. It was going back to quite a discussion.
We have, but is within the script that it is prepared from the from the whole process that you were that you are showing. In the end of the KG query, you can find the script there. You can find the meta information and the script of that, and you in this area you can change the specific coordinates, but it's more hard to do this
It's
way.
dangerous. Why it's dangerous? At some point, because we are talking about different ESPGs, the user should be quite sure about the ESPG that we have referred, and he is going to make the transformation from WS84 to the other, for example, 3221, or the different, it's a different CRS. So that's why we're trying to avoid it, if I can say, in which way that at some point, if the CRS is not compatible, then the downloading script to the API is going to be wrong, and your downloading is going to fail. But yes, the script is quite editable. So in many cases, or probably we are going to make it editable, so in many cases you can change the bounded box. With the precautions, of course, that you are compatible with the CRS that we are seeing. Okay? Thank you, Lucas. So what I can make is, for now, I'm going to create a use case 5. I'm going to use my workflow name for a new workflow that I would like to create. I'm going to select all the data sources because I want them as an input in my workflow, and I'm going to push the create workflow. What this is going to create, of course, is a draft of use case 5. It's just a name. I could make different use cases, but just to be short and these things, we are making use case 5. Okay. And I'm going to open it in order to edit my functions. How I'm going to edit my functions? Of course, I'm going to add a data input and a data output. Right now, my data input is predefined, is pre-completed by my data flow selections. When I have selected all these data sources, I have selected in order to be downloaded directly from the knowledge graph, from our preprocessor. If you need extra in situ data, of course, you can upload also your in situ data that are going to be accompanied with the previous data selections. Going back, okay. Okay. Data source, data output. Okay, what I would like to add here is merge bands. This is not about only the use case. You can use it as a merge bands of TIFFs in the specific tiles from the Sentinel-2. We have already the tag of use case 5 in order to help you a little bit to familiarize you with the different use cases in order to have successful output so you can be familiarized. But this can be used as a merge bunch of Sentinel-2 data in general. okay, when you're having Sentinel Hub and you have different bands, we can merge it in one TIFF. And the ML algorithm is going to be soil erosion C-factor prediction. Okay, data source, I'm going to connect everything. Also, I would like to add customer face and ARXR. Why I'm using it right now ARXR? Because I know, or the user can know, that I'm going to have TIFFs. I can have a specific bounded box, and the digital elevation model is something useful in order to be demonstrated in the world. The CSV is not something that can be demonstrated in a specific bounded box in an area. So the actions are quite the same as previous. What I'm going to do, I'm going to push the save and the publish in order to start my use case. I don't, any questions till now about the process, what I'm going to do? I think the steps are the following: data search, workflow creator, workflow editor, presentation of the output. Publish, start, and this thing. Let's check. Let's going back to my previous, I think, use case 2 is running, only the ELK is in progress. Can I see the output of use case 2? Here. At some point, I need a
Maybe like you have to refresh.
Yeah, okay. Because it has also the use case 5 in order to, it was in parallel. Okay, so in the source, I'm having the CSV, what we have seen also in the previous. In the Fusion folder, we have created a new CSV with the rolling average computations. And in the fuel consumption, I'm having the output, the prediction of the fuel consumption in a specific, if you can say, area. Okay, what are the actions that a user can do? Of course, is download the output. I can make, for example, I can download the CSV. Why I'm having NumPy array and CSV? Because the end user, for him, it was useful to create a NumPy array in his specific algorithm, then put in his model. However, in order to demonstrate in the users and to use it in a data, if you can say, visualization, we are also providing the CSV of this NumPy array. So I can download the specific CSV. The download is going to start in a while, as you can see here. And of course, I can use the data visualization for use case 2. Okay, I don't want, for example, to check what is the input. I want to see the output of the ML algorithm. As Pablo said, in a line chart, if there are any tags on top of the CSV, our tool is going to automatically select which you are going to be the X and Y axis column, and then you can create a chart. So simple. So we can see the prediction of the fuel consumption in the specific, if you can say, input of your algorithm, in the specific, with the specific wind prediction and all these things, the prediction of your fuel consumption. I don't know if Pablo wants to say something, but I think it was what he already discussed.
Yes, I think I already explained everything for
yes.
that.
I don't know if you want to add something about the use case 5 and the C factor, but when we're going to have the downloading of the data, I think we need around 15 minutes in order to download these 64 TIFFs from the Adam in order to process and to have the output of the process. I think it's quite there, it's 20 minutes. If you want to say something about your ML algorithm, about the C factor.
Yes, I can do that. So you want me to do it now or just after that you showed?
I think we can do it, and then I'm going to run a fast.
Okay.
We are having, I think, a little bit time. I think it's quite important because right now, in our, if you can say, from my point of view, in the use case 5, if you can see the actions, what we have done, we have seen that we had 3 different data sources. These data sources have to be integrated in tiles with all layers, append one on top of the other, if I can say simply, and to be merged from the outputs of the Sentinel in RGB. And this is provided by Fusion to your ML algorithm in order to provide the C factor. Do you want to share your screen or you want just to...
I can just explain it
Okay.
like how we obtained the C factor algorithm. So the first step that was in fact one of the heavier steps of this process was collecting the data. So for this, we used a data set that is called the Lucas data set that contain survey where people really went into cropped and forests, physically took photos around it and took a lot of features about how long is the vegetation, what is there, etc. And with this, the owner of the use case computed the value of the C factor. That is one of the factors that influence soil erosion. And with this prediction and having in addition where it is and when it is, we extracted the Sentinel-2 data in this region. And we took a very, very small region because we are speaking about the size of one crop. So it's something like we use something like 9 by 9 pixels or 18 by 18s because the area that you're interested in is maybe a few hundreds of meters because it's one field there. And for algorithm, we try different ones. I think currently we're using just a multi-layer perceptron to doing the predictions. We have also tested with some CNN, convolutional neural networks. But yeah, this is one of the algorithms that we are trying to predict what is the value of this factor that is between 0 and 1 that tells you how much soil erosion there is. So we did this based on a data sets that we collected ourselves. So that many that we collected from a CSV that was collected and had a lookup table to compute it. And we are trying to predict this value. And this is this model that after is used in the image that is in this case given as input from Sentinel-2. So I don't know if there is more specific questions about how it is done. Also, there is some discussion from UC5 where they want also to give not only the C factor as value, but also the other factors that they have, where they also have a code to compute them so that the person has all the factor that can be interested for soil erosion. And like always, all these algorithms, they are always kind of work in progress. So there may be updates coming to a component if a better algorithm comes in, and possibly without changing the interface for the user.
Okay, yes, to be transparent, as you said. The only thing that I would like just to say also from my side, that all the fusion is like, probably you're seeing just a box that we are having, for example, the merge band, but this merge band is a multiple series of in parallel actions in order to do quite quickly in a dynamic, if you can say, infrastructure that user doesn't have any aware about this, or like, for example, the use case 2 is something like that in order to be in parallel and quite to implement all this rolling average as we also presented from our point of view. But this is something transparent to the user.
I think I will also say the same things for the machine learning.
Yes,
So for
exactly.
example, in the machine learning, one of these boxes that you're using,
Mm-hmm.
in fact, there is two things happening in backend. There is one part that is mainly getting the requests, getting the data, but internally, it will send this request to what we call an inference server. That is a server that has the model that just as a file. So he has the model that the machine learning expert uploads to S3 that has no code inside of it other than a file in a format that is standard for machine learning. And a lot of queries are done in parallel. For example, for this use case, every region, that is, I think, 9x9 region, will be queried in parallel to the server, and you will get the answer and then visualize it. So there is really a separation between two parts. One part that is reading the data, preparing the requests, and the part that is the modeling part, where it is he launch the model for the region and give a number. So this allows you to quite easily update or even have cases where maybe some users want to have different inputs type of data, but the same model. So for example, they want to have as inputs maybe a CSV, a GeoTIFF, another format, but the model behind it is working on the same kind of data. So this is the kind of things that this separation allows you to do.
Okay. Yes, as we said, let's go back right now. We are waiting a little bit for this use case to be finalized. I don't know if I'm having any updates right now in use case 5. No, the folder is not at least in these minutes to download all the files of the data requested. What I can do, what I can make, for example, is what is remaining is to use my own, if you can say, functionality, my own Python code together with the EO platform in order to integrate what I have in mind, that just to use the EO4EU platform as one-stop shop, as we have described it in our, if you can say, description of our platform, in order for EO4EU to download data, to have my own algorithms, training models, whatever I have, and then have the output of the results in my, if you can say, infrastructure. What I can do is to select, for example, data sources. For example, right now, let's just to make it simpler and faster in order to no Sentinel, let's have again Adam and have Sentinel just to having again, for example, Bantu, it's irrelevant where I'm going to run what? I'm going to run an algorithm that I'm having in my premises that takes JP2 images and just flip it and rotate it in the, and just rotate it and flip it in the X axis. So I'm going to select a specific area of interest. Let's say, for example, Sicily again. I'm going to do a new selection, and instead of selecting 5 days, I'm just having a smaller data set of 1 day. Why is that? In order to be faster, because I can see that we are running out of time. Okay. No. Sorry. I make it from the 1st till the 15th of 2024. It's about 10 days. Let's wait. Probably I'm going to have a lot of products. I'm not going to select everything. I'm just going to select only 2 images. Okay, so you have, of course, the availability of what is returning from your selection, from your call to the original data source that is coming back to you, and to generate a download script for this only 2 products. So I'm going to save workflow. Okay. What is my last one? I'm having Sentinel-2 Band2. This is my last one. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to create a workflow as a fuzz, because I'm going to use the functionality in order to embed my Python code. Okay. So in the workflow creator, If you're going to have this image, just click on the EO4EU icon, okay? And this goes you back to your original workflow main page, okay? I'm going to view what I'm going to use, the data source that I have selected, the two JP2 images. I'm going to use my FAS, my open FAS infrastructure, a data output, and of course, if you like, a customer face. I don't think it's, we're not going to have something like AR, VR, but okay. We're not going to have something like CSV. So it will be something like that output. So how I'm going, in the data source, I'm having data coming from the knowledge graph. In the open FAS, what I'm going to select? When you're selecting and you're doubling, when you're selecting the three dots, what you're going to see is a Python 3 blank page, and of course, a requirement space. What I'm going to open here is just like I'm having my Python script. Sorry. Here. I'm going to create just two, I'm having only two functionalities. One is the reverse image and one is the main image. What I would like just to point out is the following, that the input path, that the output path is something like output, and I'm having an input path just like this name, input path. The FAS, the open FAS, is going to replace the input and the output in the specific concatenation that we're having inside our paths and inside your send S3 bucket. So the only thing that I want to know is that you would like to open your images from an input path and to have also a variable like an output path. That's the only, if you can say, prerequisites in order for the algorithm to know where to have an input and where to have an output. Okay, so I'm going to select my the whole code inside the description. This is also produced by a notebook. So when I created the notebook, I downloaded as a Py script and I pasted in this section. The only thing is that I need to have in the requirements to know that because I'm using the pill library, to have added this pillow library in my requirement section, either with caps or not. The pillow, it's something like that. If you need any libraries to be inserted as a requirements text in your code, we have to know it beforehand because we don't know what is the specific requirements. And this is how I import any Python code with Python 3 in our, if you can say, section. What I can say also is that in the next version of in the next version of the EO4EU platform, we are going also to upload all the notebooks. Not just Python, which is the same, but because you are having these boxes that are sequentially executed as in a Colab environment or in a Jupyter environment, and you are more familiarized with that, probably we're going to have also these things in our platform in the next version in order to help a little bit to help you as the users to embed your code. Okay, so I'm having the updating. Okay, perfect. So I'm having the FAS, I'm having data input, data output, and customer face. What I'm going to do, of course, to press the save button and the publish button in order my process to start. Okay, we need some time. Probably I have my timeout. Let's see, also here I can see that I have downloaded the source. As you can see here, we're having all the data from the Sentinel-2, the Sentinel-3, and the Sentinel-4. I just received a notification from Fusion, that's why I've seen that. Okay. And let's go back to workflow editor. Let's view. Oh, what is it? Oh, just a second. Okay. What happened to my? Weird. Okay, let's do it again. I don't know why happened that. But, okay.
Can you refresh the page?
No, I just deleted and I'm going to make it again. It sounds like an action, probably because I have done it. I have probably timeout from the open fuzz. That's why. Let me just check again. Fuzz version 2. Okay. Select, create workflow, view. You mean to refresh the page? To refresh the page?
Yes. Yes.
I'm having multiple pages. Okay. Something. Let me check. Oh, wait. Sorry, I got anxious. Wait. Oh. Oops. What? Do you see my screen?
No, Katja, no.
Να πάτε μέσα. Τώρα ακριβώς υπάρχει πρόβλημα. Σας παρακαλώ πήγαινε μέσα. Πήγαινε κατουρίσεις.
Babis, you have opened your microphone.
Sorry.
I'm clicking the sharing. Do you see my screen?
Not yet. It's probably still loading.
Not yet.
Wait. Let me check again. I'm doing it again. Now?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are back again. Okay. Okay, so we are having data source. We are having open fuzz. We are having data output. Okay, I'm just going to select them. I'm having customer face. Okay, in the open fuzz, going to select everything. Okay, and I'm going to check the below. Okay, save and publish. Okay, it was something like in the refresh, whatever. Okay, so what is going to make? We are going to have data source from the knowledge graph, our own code just to flipping the two images, 2, 3, whatever you want, having a data output in our S3 bucket. So this is what in meantime we are having from, let's check about use case 5. Okay, we're having only the source right now. I can see that I'm having also the Fusion running in parallel, but we're having a lot of data. So we have to wait a little bit. And this is also how you can run your own code. For example, you don't have these insights, but okay, for use case 5, where, oh no, not this one. As I have already discussed with you, we're having the spatio-temporal functions of the platform. So we have created the PVC dynamically, we are reading all the files, we're merging the bands, and we are waiting to upload it and send this to Pablo, that of course he's doing the same thing as in parallel from his side. And at the file explorer and the map visualization, probably we can see something in the map visualization for use case 5, because we are having some data coming from where? From input. Let me check. No data visualization, map visualization, sorry. That's why. Yes, we are having also the fusion and the input folder. We are having, for example, the fusion. In the map visualization that I haven't shown you this before, you can see some of the data downloaded, what is the name of the data, and you can select multiple types of data in order to demonstrate in parallel in your maps. That it was also a request from the users to have, for example, different tiles of data demonstrated on top one of the other. If I can, for example, say, can have this. I can show also this one. This is under Sicily. So we have selected Sicily. And why we are getting this bounded box? Because the Sentinel-2 is returning in the specific bounded box either closed tiles or inside the specific area. It's based on what data it has in the specific, if you can say, area of interest. And these data are going to be processed from our fusion. Some data sources also, as you are satellite experts, either some data sources returning smaller tiles of a specific area, of a specific bounded box, or some APIs are some retaining the whole world. Even if you're selecting, for example, there are 5, if you're selecting the a specific bounded box, the API to the data source is retaining the whole world. And then we have the crop, if you can say fusion from, we're having a fusion function in order to crop in the specific bounded box that user requests. What else I would like to demonstrate before the use case are going to finalize? The XRVR is after the ML, so we're waiting the ML to finalize. ML in use case 5 we are waiting, and of course we are waiting for FAS, the algorithm. This is, if I can say, if we are going short, if you can say, overview of all the functionalities of EO4EU, the functionalities of the platform. I repeat the following. It's something like going step by step. This, if you can say, steps are guide you what you have to select in each step. The first thing is if you would like to select something from the knowledge graph. The second thing is if you would like to select the products from the knowledge graph or to create an empty workflow. The third thing is to create workflows with specific actions and specific actions of what you would like to do. Of course, something useful if you would like to use EO4EU like a one-stop shop is to have a data source and a data output, just to get data from the knowledge graph, from EO4EU knowledge graph, and download everything in an S3 bucket, or to have your own code, or you have your own actions. And then you're having either the data visualization that is not something different from the visualization that you are having either from MATLAB or Python or something, but it helps you a little bit with the CSV, and the map visualization that we are providing an overview like Quantum GIS, or actually not as usual, but if we're having the metadata and all these things, we are, as you see, we're having extensions TIFFs, netcdf, and zip are allowed to be demonstrated and to be uploaded. Zip is more about, I think, shape files. And of course, we're having the file explorer in order to check in each step, for example, at what step is your algorithm, except from the notifications. If you are having something like an input or an output, let me check about the file explorer. To check, for example, fuzz or, okay, so we are having the fuzz output, we are having the source, like an image, let's download it. And then I can have also the fuzz that is just flipped the two, if you can say, images from the file explorer, from the input. If I can show you also this, let's say that I'm downloading this one, 249 actions, download, and then fuzz 249, let's say this one, actions, download, and the two downloading are going to start. Any other questions, please? Because this webinar is about you, and we have to ask questions about what do you expect from EO4EU? What are the main, if you can say, actions that you would like to do? I believe that you need some familiarization. Something new is something that we would like to hide all the difficulties from the data sources, from the different metadata. It was a lot of difficult for us to hide all these differences from the APIs, all these differences from the user requirements. Together with also the use case owners, we have updated because, as we said before, we didn't know the bounded box. We won't repeat a bounded box. We need something like about the date range. We don't need the Python script. We need to edit the bounded boxes or the downloading script. So all these things are quite important for us. As you can see, for example, another example of a quite different data source is from the Sentinel Hub. As you know, Sentinel Hub creates, for example, the, let's say from a specific area, of interest, like this one. Just also an inside tip. When you want something to be downloaded for a specific duration, in order to, at some point we had some problems with how to say, with the edges of the date range. For example, if you are requesting something from the 1st January of 2018, then the downloading script is going back a day before, because at some point the APIs were downloading the next day. So it was something like that we have tried to figure out and to fix from the data sources. Also here in the Python script that we are creating from the Sentinel Hub, we are having embedded the valuation script. It is something quite different, either from the Adam or from the UMEChat or from the CDS ADS. All these different, if you can say the differences from the different data sources, we were trying a little bit to hide under a common interface. And of course, with your suggestions and with your, if you can say, input, we can make it better and better through the through our, if you can say, updating period. Yes, please. I don't know if I have any questions. Use case 5 is running till now. We are waiting in the VR. Let me check about the use case. Okay, Fusion. These are the results from Pablo, from the mail that you can have on top of that, and you can see the C factor created. Let me check another one. And you can see the C factor created on Sicily. You can see here and you can see here. We are having two different C factor on top of the Sicily. And of course, probably I can show you if it's finalized, the XRVR for use case 5, because we have selected to get an XRVR. Just wait, the VR viewer. Okay. Okay, we don't know if we're having data. No. They're saying that we are waiting data. No, we are having these ones. Let's see for the soil erosion. Okay. Because as XRVR is not already finalized. Okay, so we are waiting for the XRVR. We are having data here, and based on the request that we have made from the users in our previous webinar, in the introduction, so, a user were asking about the DEM, the digital elevation model, that it was created and it was demonstrated through the XRVR. Then our team has successfully, if we can say, implement and added in the S3 bucket that everything is that can be accessible from the user in order to be downloaded. So from your previous introduction 15 days before, we have added also the DEM, the digital elevation model, for the user to be, if you can say, to be available and to be used for your own application if you have for the VRXR. Okay, I can see a lot of questions. Let me check.
Actually,
I don't know. Want to start answering?
Actually, if I can just say, just so people can also interact, if anyone would like to maybe show us something from their screens, or if they want to directly ask questions live, just to raise their hand, and then I can provide them panelist rights. It's a bit easier, I think, maybe sometimes to just have a direct exchange. So if anyone's interested, just do raise your hand, and then we'll promote you to panelist. Thanks. So far, I see there's a discussion on the chat between Lucas and Pablo, but yeah, if you'd like to take that live, let us know. Just raise your hand.
I think it's about more about how we are editing the script, and yes and no. I understand from my point of view. Is the following, that if we are going to leave to the users everything to be editable, it's something different. It's going to be a security breach. And we are going to conclude to many fails of the input. That's why I believe that if, for example, if a user is quite sure and he would like to download data from each specific data source and bounded box, probably we can select it with a graphical user interface. We're having a quite good analysis. The next thing is to edit the bounded box. Another thing is that if you have downloaded your own data, you can upload your own data. So we're having multiple ways to conclude to the same, if you can say, path. Also, that I would like to point out some points. The bounded box is something that you can put in your search in an API as an EO expert. I'm not an EO expert, but I have used it a lot of the last 2 years. I can see that some points the services are retrieving something close to that bounded box, not the exact bounded box. So it's something like the bounded box, either with some differences, doesn't make any, if you can say, big difference to the output or your input of your downloaded products, from my point of view, but okay. I don't know if you want any other questions, please. Now here, let's say. Check why I'm having this.
Also, for additional information, some of the models, for example, all the machine learning models and all of them, they are you can access it from a Python notebook. So there is some tutorials how to do that on Zenodo. And some of the models are available publicly, the one that the use case owner were okay to already have them publicly available. And the other, there will be when the use case owner agree and are ready to make them available publicly.
It's also the same for the fusion. We're going to make a public the Zenodo, all the fusion algorithms in the Zenodo. But I think that the mail is quite important for you. Also, this is the first version that is working in the production. The updates that are quite soon, the updates of this, we're going to check the ML operational, how we're going to add new models from your side directly in our platform. Probably this goes back to integrate your own model in the Python or a notebook, but this is going to be also a validator in order to add it directly or to share it with other users in the marketplace. So, or the fusion algorithms that you would like to share in the marketplace, or your in situ data that you believe that are quite important and can be used again by other users, or to be public available, or you can have your in situ private available. These are also quite soon the new updates of the platform that I would like to just to make to be on hands-on and we have some updates in the platform. But this is the thing, that if we are having something working, how we can make it interoperable for everyone and for everything. Of course, going to the question, can we prepare all the machine models beforehand? The answer is no, but we can have a mechanism in order to integrate new algorithms in our platform that of course should be validated, that to add new functionalities with an easy way to the user and to facilitate the user with this, if you can say, big pool of satellite data to be downloaded from each side. In our next webinar about the API, we can make it going to be shorter, but the main, if you can say, usability is not to work and to visualize, of course, things through a web platform, but to be more advanced users and to access the calls and the API calls as a developer through an external APIs to search data and retrieve products, to search to recall some templates of workflows in order to recall actions, to start a workflow, to update a workflow, to stop a workflow, and to visualize and retrieve its data in your premises. So I think it's going to be something like more command line on Jupyter notebooks for the most, if you can say, advanced users. What source? CDS, okay. Okay. Anyone else? If you would like to go through a specific question, have you run something, or we can help you with any run of your script?
Katja.
Yes.
Yes, I would like to ask you something about, for example, I think you were showing use case 5, and you saw you were in the editor. You said that you will upload the metadata there, of each algorithm.
No, or
In the future,
No, I believe in the next 2-3 days, we have the updated version. It is in the dev environment, not in the prod. We're going to have, yes, the details of the functionalities. What are going to be the details for each function? You can overview what is the input, the type of input, for example, text, div, netcdf, numpy arrays, whatever. The description, what is going to do this function, and the output type of files that you're expecting, for example, netcdf, you're expecting an numpy array, you're expecting as an output CSV, you're expecting another TIFF. So
okay.
you have input, description, and output. This is going to be soon. We hope to have it today, but it was something like we didn't want to, how to say, because we have to update also the tutorials, and we have to be compatible and consistent with that. So not to, I believe in 2 days we're going to update the tutorials, and we update also what the user is going to see.
Oh, thank you. That's for sure an added value for the project. Thank you.
Okay, last few minutes. If anyone has any other questions, please don't hesitate to raise your hand or type in the chat. Thank you very much, Carmen, for your words in the chat. Okay. I suppose if there's nothing else, maybe we can just remind everyone, indeed, we do have an upcoming webinar on the middle of March. So that's the 14th of March. That's at 11 until 1. So that's indeed, as Kakia mentioned, that would be to promote the EO4EU training with API, so demonstration as well with some real use cases that we've been running at EO4EU. So we hope to see you there and continue to seeing you getting your hands on and using the EO4EU platform. We also look forward to what you think and to let us know if you have used the platform. Do let us know. Do send us your feedback. We have our channels. Do write to us there. So I don't see any more
Perhaps
questions.
we can also thank the audience about the criticism, the comments, etc.
Indeed.
That for sure assist us in improving the platform, the functionality offered.
Indeed. Thank you very much, everyone, for always participating and also for especially those who have started to already use the platform. Some last few words, perhaps, from the speakers and from members of the consortium before we close.
Just to point out that this is a very crucial process or part of the process, etc. Of course, it assists in raising awareness about the platform, invite people to join this ecosystem and use the platform. So of course, always subject to their own needs, and but also it assists us in absorbing all these comments, suggestions, etc., and for sure improving the platform, delivering the functionality, fully fledged functional system. Because we have our own view, the particular Earth observation application domain, but of course others may also have theirs that they are willing to share with us. So this is very important in the process. And of course, stay tuned about the upcoming webinar. As Kaika mentioned, this is going to be on the programmatic use of the platform, demonstrate the capabilities offered by the integrated API. And this is an alternative way of exploiting the merits of the platform. This is also another pillar quite essential in managing Earth observation data.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Status. Okay, if there's nothing else, I guess we can close here. We will publish the recording as soon as we process it in the next few days. So do have a look at our events section, especially at the events page for this webinar. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, and hoping to see you in the coming weeks for the next webinar. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.